And then the Lakers, that we'll talk about them first here, they get Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton in the trade. Dan, I love this trade for the Lakers. Getting Dorian Finney-Smith is a huge acquisition for them because they're trading a streaky scoring guard who is trying to be like a stabilizing playmaker for them coming off the bench for a steady 3-and-D guy. You're getting Dorian Finney-Smith, who's 6'7", 7-foot wingspan, competitive, versatile on-ball defender. This dude defends across positions. If you look at the players, he's defended 30 or more possessions this season. The list is Jaren Jackson Jr., Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Giannis, Jokic, Brook Lopez. That's centers, that's guards, that's forwards. He defends everybody. And so you add him to this Lakers team that it feels like they want to be bigger. JJ Redick moves Max Christie to the starting lineup. He's been really great for them recently. You got him defending on the perimeter, hitting threes. And now you add Dorian Finney-Smith into the mix, whether he comes off the bench or whether he's in the starting lineup, maybe over Rui or over Christie. I don't think it matters. He's going to be a finishing player for this Lakers team that suddenly feels a hell of a lot bigger than they were with D'Lo.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it because, I mean, when was D'Lo really in favor for the Los Angeles Lakers? The guy was a starter. He had this roller coaster ride throughout the regular season. Last year, he played well. He falls by the wayside in the playoffs. And I think that type of volatility just has no place given the state of where the Lakers are at. And JJ Redick has long coveted DFS. He played with him right before he retired in the Dallas Mavericks. This guy is having a career year in terms of shooting, highest true shooting percentage of his career. He's knocking down 43% of his threes. That will likely regress. He's a career 36% guy, but I mean, he's just playing very well. And I think that it's a point where the fact that there was other suitors on the market that tried to offer the Brooklyn Nets a pretty considerable offer, this guy was highly wanted around the league. And I think that the Lakers did a good job of shoring up their defense, getting a guy that can guard multiple positions. Their defense has been lacking. We know how much LeBron takes those plays off. So it's great to have a nice defensive stopper on there that can possibly play against some of the threes, some of the fours, and potentially some small ball five, as Jackson Hayes has been injured, and the Lakers going through some attrition in their front court. So I think it just makes them more well-rounded. This is a good trade, and I think by giving up three second-round picks, this still leaves the door open for them to make a big splash. Packaging potentially Gabe Vincent's contract, Rui Hachimura potentially, or depending on the state of Jared Vanderbilt, maybe they can trade him as a part of the piece to match salary for a bigger haul.
I mean, 100%, you're spot on. This deal allows them to continue to make more moves if there's moves to be made ahead of the deadline because of all those salaries, very tradable salary numbers for all of those guys in like the $10 to $17 million range. So now they have multiple firsts they can trade in the future. They have multiple swaps they can trade. Depending on what you think about Jalen Hood-Schifino, maybe someone wants to take a swing at him and see if they can get something out of him. He showed flashes in the G League last year. So there's pieces there for the Lakers to continue to bolster this roster and at least go for it. I mean, they've had success against OKC. They're a big team and they've done well against OKC. So I think for the Lakers, granted OKC looks to be the clear favorite in the West, I mean, who knows in a 7-game series. And so for them, I'm glad they seem to be going for it here because why would you not with AD still playing at the level he is? Why would you not with LeBron still playing at the level that he is, especially after his 10-day break? And so, DFS, like you mentioned, his 3-point percentage, career 36%. That's true. But he's been a 42% guy in the playoffs in his career. Last 6 seasons, he's been 37.5%. So even with some regression, he's been a guy that's had success in big playoff games. And so I think those sample sizes are smaller, but they matter because, there's certain players who are like Finney-Smith, 37.5% last 6 seasons in the NBA. But then they fall to 31% in the playoffs when closeouts are tighter, defenses are more locked in, the pressure is greater, the crowd is louder, the lights are brighter. Finney-Smith has gotten better. And so for the Lakers, I don't think he's going to be one of those classic Laker acquisitions that he becomes a 32% guy all of a sudden. I think Lakers can probably feel good about that. And I think for JJ Redick, considering his relationship with Finney-Smith as former teammates together in Dallas, as you mentioned, that probably will help him figure out what's best for the culture of this team with whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench. Because that was a challenge with D'Lo. D'Lo is a guy that He likes to get heavy minutes. He likes to get touches. And he's one of those guys that plays with flow that it helps him. And I think that showed in the numbers this year. He had the worst true shooting percentage in his last 7 years, only 10.7 shots per game, only 26.3 minutes per game. And I think that dip in efficiency, especially from three, probably had something to do with the lower minutes, the lack of flow that he had. But that had to be done. Like, it had to be done for the Lakers. Max Christie's playing well. They got him starting, and now you had Finney-Smith into that mix. This Lakers team just feels a lot more complete. They feel like a team that can play small. They've been second in defensive rating since December 7th. They've really turned it on after starting the year at 26th on defense. This just feels like a more complete team to me, but it's always still about, well, then what's next though? Do you think, when you look at this Lakers roster, Dan, what do you feel like is missing? Like, what should they be targeting with those existing picks and assets that they have?
I think that they could aim for, because Jeremy Grant was long, tied to the Lakers, but I think that they should actually be going for some scoring, because I think that that's the one area where I think this trade kind of hurts them, in the sense of, at least you had D'Lo providing 15, 16 points off the bench. Is Dalton Connect ready to step up into that role? Max Christie, we talked about, we don't know really what that rotation is going to look like. So if you go get someone that's affordable, like an Anthony Simons, maybe you can get in the Zach LaVine sweepstakes. You at least can match some salary with that to try to make a big splash like that, because I think that that's the one thing that the Lakers are missing. They need a third star. Dorian Finney-Smith is the third player that has a BPM over 0. So that means that everyone else has been pretty much a net negative for the Lakers this year, besides LeBron and AD. So getting Dorian Finney-Smith in there was a huge plus, but I think you need to get another ball handler, another scorer, somebody that can just take over a game, potentially give you anywhere between 18 to 20 points on a given night, because that's going to raise this floor for this team, and then also give them another reliable option when it comes to playoff time once this season starts to wear down.
I mean, the Zach LaVine fit. I mean, to me, I think, like, if you get Zach LaVine, you have to trade Rui in that deal. $17 million filler, you'd have to do it. Finney-Smith makes Rui more expendable. Right?
For sure.
So that would work for the Lakers. It'd have to be like a 5-for-1. Salary-wise, it would have to be Rui, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Hood Schifino, and then one more. So it'd have to be a 3-team deal. Maybe there's a team, like the Pistons, somebody like that. These teams that are sort of in the middle that could take on a player that they could use in the future or something like that. Or these teams that might want to take salary. Maybe you go back to Brooklyn and they take somebody else down the line. But I to me, LaVine, with the way he's performed this year, every team in the league missed the chance to get him on a discount. It's gone. You can't get him on a discount anymore. He's not damaged goods at this point. He's just an expensive salary, but he's a hell of a player, and he fits exactly what the Lakers need. Because you think about D'Lo versus Zach LaVine, there's that spark they both provide, but D'Lo's almost always that on-ball guy. It comes out of pick and roll and isolations, ice in his veins, pointing after, icing, hitting a big three. LaVine, it can come off of screens. It can come off of handoffs. It can come off of lob dunks at the rim and the on-ball stuff. And so if you pair that with AD in the years to come and with LeBron today, LaVine's expensive as hell, dude. But like Finney-Smith fills what you had hoped to get from Vanderbilt. He makes Rui more expendable. To me, LaVine's got to be like at the top of the list for the expensive salary guys. But that's tough. Like midseason, a 5-for-1. I mean, that's tough to pull off in the middle of the year, though.